Hey, what's with the clothes? Nobody accepts you with clothes on here, Hopper.
Just fucking do it,
Take the
man.
fucking clothes off.
I lost a bet.
Take
a
them
big
off.
bet.
Take off the clothes. Take off the clothes. Yes, he's sucking that in.
Is that enough?
No! Patty. Hopper's the Patty model for
Don't be a LeBron.
for wife. Apparently have some pretty nice panties for sale. There we go! I just found another dollar. Hopper, that's not good enough. Get over here. Look at that.
It's a song for our southern neighbors.
Here's a trip
Let's
down
do this
memory
fucking
lane.
stupid song.
The album that got me into punk rock.
Wake up, America, and be a good American, and buy American. But your next gonna be American.
You're listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, we are discussing Wake Up America, track 19 on Live from Occupied Territory, an official bootleg. This song was recorded at the Zoo in Winnipeg, Manitoba on July 19th, 2003. The live DVD was released on G7 Welcoming Committee Records in 2007. Paul was there. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. We know. Do
We know.
you know, listener? Do you know? Paul was there. So, this is a really interesting track because this DVD now was recorded 22 and a quarter years ago, which is absolutely insane. Do you own this DVD?
I did at one point. God, Lord knows where it is at this point. I have no idea.
I've got mine right here. I've owned it since way back in the day. I ordered it direct from G7 in, 2007 or something. Anyway, so the original tune of Wake Up America was written and recorded by Dayglo Abortions, who are, through doing some research on the internet, widely called hardcore legends in Canada. And they're a band that I never really got into, although I've known about them since I was 14 because I had this random job at Lake of the Ozarks where this guy who worked with me introduced me to Dead Kennedys and Dayglo Abortions. And I remember like it was yesterday. His name was Devin, and he was just this random 30-plus-year-old man who had this random job at this gas station at Lake of the Ozarks, and he showed me DK and DGA. So a lot of people call Dayglo Abortions DGA, apparently. And this song appeared on a 1986 album called Fetus, a Fetus from Fringe Product Records in Canada and Toxic Shock Records in the U.S.
Test.
Wake up, America, and be a good American, and buy American, or pledge your next car to be American. Oh, what a bunch of shit. Nazi propaganda. Thanks to crap like that.
And Fringe Product, we've talked about them on the podcast. You're probably familiar with a lot of their records. They did the Sudden Impact record that we talked about on our Bent episode, and they did I think they did Sacrifice Records. Do you know anything else about Fringe off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, no, just from what we've covered.
Okay, cool. And so, interestingly, a little side note: Bill Sassenberger, who was the proprietor and founder of Toxic Shock Records, who released this album in the U.S., has a recent book out from Earth Island Records, same publisher who released my book. And so that's pretty interesting. But Dayglo Abortions Feed Us a Fetus, featuring a wonderful cover of Ronald and Nancy Reagan on the front cover, eating a baby, a dead baby, it's been given a variety of re-releases, and you can find them all on Discogs. But I am very pleased to say that I still have this DVD. Would you like for me to regale you with what the inside cover says, since you haven't seen it in years?
I want to hear every word from
Every
that inside
word.
cover.
Chris wrote it. It's in Chris's handwriting. This is an interesting collection, this DVD. I'm really glad I still have it. You can find it on Bandcamp as well for people out there who haven't heard it in a long time. The audio is all on Bandcamp for a download. I think it's free, or $7.
Seven American dollars.
Okay, so it's cheap. It's cheap to get, and it's super good. But it says, "Hello, dorks. Chris here. How's it going? Welcome to our DVD. Here, let me take your coat. What's that? No, leave your shoes. It's fine." Tonight's feature is entitled "And Now a Song Written and Directed by Jordan Samolesky," which is crossed out. Slipshod document of the events of July 19th, 2003, when we played a show at the zoo, the venue, not the animal prison, numbnuts, here in Winnipeg as a benefit for the Grassy Narrows blockade and the International Solidarity Movement. I think it says something about the state of the planet when a ragtag band of barely literate human stains from Winnipeg are left to the task of trying to raise a couple bucks to help a small First Nations community sustain a meager blockade against the overwhelming power of transnational corporations and a rapacious settler state by putting out a DVD of themselves headbanging to their own music. But I guess you do what you can with what you've got. So thanks for helping to do the same by kicking down for this thing. Much appreciated. As you might suspect, the normal propaganda fashion, this project is a crossed out, highly professional and meticulously planned production, labor of love, of technically unrelated elements haphazardly strung together, 100% DIY style, with the kind of perseverance that only a floundering, half-assed, know-nothing, home recording, film editing enthusiast can endure. We hope you enjoy the fruits of this maddening labor, a ludicrously edited 62 minutes of recklessly handy-cammed songs riddled with the requisite cartoonish blunders and bewildering non-sequitorial banter that we've come to know and love over the past 16 years of incomprehensibly precipitous live engagements. We especially hope you'll check out the supplemental features on here. They give proper context to the whole project and offer information and analysis you won't be seeing on CNN anytime soon. Special thanks to Suit Jolly and David Sohn for making this happen. So check it out and spread the word, dogs. Live long and prosper. So that is what it says on the inside cover for anybody who cannot read it because they don't own this DVD, and I don't know how easy it is to get. I haven't checked in some time, but who knows? Maybe the band still has copies of the DVD for sale somewhere.
When I was going through the DVD yesterday, like the audio of it, it really highlighted just how much propaganda shows have changed over the years. In
How
that
so?
they are not nearly as chaotic as they used to be.
No. I mean, just
And
look at all those words. You know what I mean? All the things that they just said. Like, Chris barely talks on stage anymore, you know?
yeah, it's crazy. Like there was so much more of a just like maybe it's a Winnipeg thing versus seeing them on the road, but like it was very much a like you get the vibe that it's just like a large group of just buds just being dumb. And like
Yeah.
every time I've seen them, like it's been more or less serious.
Yeah. And there is kind of a different sensation when you see the band in Winnipeg versus when you see them in other cities. Like the three shows that I've seen them play in Winnipeg had a decidedly different feel to the shows out of town. And I think it's because they just recognize so many people in the room in front of them that they're always like pointing to people and they're always like mentioning people and stuff. So it just feels a little different when they're in Winnipeg. But yeah, this show is really crazy. And you can see the video of the main film version and in kind of broken up sections of video on YouTube that you can find. So there are ways to watch it if you don't have the DVD. But this is a fun one. It's a really, really fun release. And this is the last song from this DVD that that we have to talk about. But we've done an episode about this DVD before. We talked about Hard Times on the Cro-Mags episode.
What an episode that was. Like
That was a
top
great
three
one.
episode ever.
I mean, Paris Mayhew coming in, just dropping truth bombs, man. Like, wow. What an honor.
On a side note, I'm reading the Harley Flanagan book now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I'm it. So first of all, I know this is a bit of a tangent, but
Oh, it's fine.
so like Harley has his book. John has like 4 books now at this point, right?
So many.
But like the Harley book is so long. Like I loaded it on my Kobo and it said it was a 17-hour read. And I'm
Oh my God.
like, who is writing a book that long about themselves for one? And like there's virtually no copy editing or anything in it. There's spelling mistakes and grammar errors everywhere in the book.
Yeah. I mean, I am sure that there are errors in my book, which, so I have a little bit of sympathy for that. But basically what I feel like Harley probably did is he probably just turned on a recording device and just started talking
And it
and
just
and then had it
transcribed, yeah.
and then had AI probably transcribe it. When did the book come out?
Oh God. I genuinely, let me look it up really quick right now.
I kind of feel like what he did is he probably just narrated the entire thing and then had the audio transcribed and then just did a pass through it to like fix some stuff, and that was probably about it.
2016.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe, but who knows? Maybe it was who knows how they did it back then. But yeah, yikes! I have no plans to read that. Just so you know. So I've appreciated your updates.
I'm trying to now find out when the John Joseph book came out because it's very pertinent to what I'm about to say next.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, what's funny about the John Joseph stuff too is that if you look at his Instagram profile, there's like a parody Instagram profile called JJ Hairpiece on
Oh,
Instagram.
which is the best account on the internet.
It's the best thing. He's like king of the punks, and it's so funny. But yeah, the whole that whole drama is awesome because I'm so glad that when we talked about Cro-Mags, we bypassed all of that and we just talked to a sane human being with a consistent and coherent narrative version of events, who just told us about the song "Hard Times" and what he thought of Propagandy's cover of it.
So hilarious. So the John Joseph's book came out in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Harley's came out in 2016. And Harley's entire book, like I sent this to you yesterday. The summary of the book is I like John. He's always been my dude, but there was no bigger swindler, shady dude, or a shady dude who would rip anyone off to get himself ahead. Here's 75 to 100 stories as to why John is a piece of shit. But in all honesty, I wish we had no bad blood because I love this guy. That's the summary
Wow.
of the Harley book.
That is incredible. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right, cool. Well, let's chat about Dayglo's, another controversial band,
Yeah.
apparently. So this album, the Live from Occupied Territory DVD, the movie and the album closes with 4 covers in a row, which I found surprising. This is the first cover. The Dayglo's cover is the first of 4 covers that closes the film. They also cover Corrosion of Conformity, which they recorded officially for the Sacrifice split 7-inch. they covered Concrete Blonde, which they recorded officially for the Fat Comp, and it was the first Todd Kowalski recording ever in the band, by the way. There are two versions. Chris posted an alternative version of the Concrete Blonde cover on his Patreon where they go way faster, like that typical Fat Wreck beat. And then the Cro-Mags, which they officially recorded for the AK Press benefit compilation. So this Wake Up America seems to be the only of the four covers that are on this DVD that never got an official recording, which I found to be interesting.
Because they were probably like, no one wants to hear it.
I mean, maybe. And I think that when I was talking to Jord a couple of years back, I think he mentioned his affinity and appreciation for Dayglo Abortions back in the day, but then I think he said something during our conversation where he's like, yeah, and then they kind of just like went off the deep end a little bit. So there's a lot of sketchiness apparently that comes with Dayglo Abortions. But we'll get in. We can let people find their own stuff for that. I don't have the capacity in my life to like dig up every bit of Dayglo's abortion drama from their very controversial array of releases that have spanned punk and hardcore and metal and thrash and every single song title you can like ever imagine. Like religious bumfucks is I'm looking at the track listing here. Dog farts, I killed mommy, I'm my own god. So this band is very, very meant to be very shocking, very controversial, very provocative in the 1980s, and it's there's a lot of history here with them and censorship and all kinds of stuff that we can chat about in a little bit too.
I actually just right now texted Zoe's dad
Oh yeah,
because I guarantee you Zoe's dad has played many shows with Dayglo Abortions back in the early 80s.
yeah. So let me know if he replies too, because
Yeah, I think
that
he's Wednesday, so he might. I think he might be working, but I texted him. We'll see if he replies. This is
cool.
like a live thing that's happening on the
on
show.
on the fly. I love it. So the DVD has a couple of bonus things, which is cool as well, which they mentioned in the thing that I read. There's an 80-minute documentary about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict called Peace, Propaganda, and the Promised Land, as well as a 54-minute documentary called As Long as the Rivers Flow about the Grassy Narrows blockade. And the DVD also contains Derek Hogue and Chris Hanna doing an audio commentary track over the recording in the bonus features. And we'll hear that in a little bit. But let's see, where were we? Who are the Dayglo Abortions? They were founded in 1979 in Victoria, British Columbia. So they're kind of like a contemporary, the Victoria scene of No Means No, right around the same time period. Dayglo's started as one of the earliest hardcore punk bands, and they were aggressive and shocking and high tempo. This is all from the internet, by the way, my research here.
I love that you're just describing them as aggressive, shocking, and high tempo music. That's
Yes.
exactly words that you would choose.
These are my words. I have written them entirely originally, and they had some success with the Feed Us a Fetus album. The
Great
album,
title.
yeah, feed us a fetus, feed us a fetus.
Such a great album title.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that their best wordplay it ended in 1986.
Yeah. So they became more crossover thrash with their album 2 years later called Here Today, Guano Tomorrow. But then if you look at their Wikipedia, it says that someone named Wayne Gretzky played guitar for them in 1985 and 86. So shout out to the great one for holding up guitar duties for the Dayglos and winning the Stanley Cup all at the same time. But yeah, so that's pretty funny, huh?
Honestly,
I'm sure it's the same guy.
it has to be, even though their names are spelled slightly differently.
Yeah.
In that the hockey player Wayne Gretzky is ZKY, and the one that played in Dayglo Abortions is SKY.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if that was an on purpose change of the spelling, or if they just legitimately did not know how to actually spell Gretzky.
Yeah. So something really interesting about this band's history that they are most well known for is an obscenity lawsuit that was filed against the band and the release of 1990's Two Dogs Fucking. So frontman Murray the Cretin Acton quit.
Cretin.
Well, I think it's pronounced Cretin or Cretin. I've heard it pronounced in videos differently.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if people out there will know if it's Cretin or Cretin, because I feel
I
like
could be wrong. I literally have no idea.
Yeah, how is the British pronunciation of the word?
Cretin. I have no idea. That was the
Okay,
worst
well, we'll
British.
see.
Surely we have someone. We have people in Discord that are from the UK. They can chime in and tell
Yeah,
us
so-
how offensive my impression there was.
Yeah, so Murray was replaced by a guy named Jimbo, Gymbo, and then so Jimbo was in the band for a while. Murray returned in 1999 with the album Death Race 2000, and he shared vocal duties with Jimbo until Jimbo departed in 2008. So as of 2010, Murray Acton is the only original member remaining. But they have put out recently released material. 2021's Hate Speech and 2023 EP Upside Down World. But in 1988, there was this lawsuit against them for obscenity, where some cop in Ontario heard
Napanee.
What is it?
Napanee, Ontario,
Oh, yeah.
which is right by where Zoe's mom lives.
Oh, yeah. So this cop dad saw his teenage daughter listening to Here Today, Guano Tomorrow. And there was this huge thing against the record labels, against the band, like lawsuits and stuff. And there is a full 3-something minute news story about the obscenity lawsuit. And so I found a video on YouTube. And so I was just going to play the entire 3+ minutes of audio from the Dayglo's obscenity lawsuit. You want to hear it?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Listen to it.
A punk rock band called Dayglo Abortions has had several hundred of its record albums seized by police at an Ottawa record store. The band's Toronto record manufacturer is charged with distributing obscene material, the first time the charge has been used against a record company. The case began 4 months ago when a father in the Ottawa suburb of Nepean, who is also a policeman, heard the Dayglo Abortions album playing on his daughter's stereo. Despite the Ontario charges, the record is still available in Vancouver. And we should warn you that the material in our story on the group contains material that may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers.
Dayglo Abortions on video. They're a Victoria punk band with shocking lyrics and modest sales that have never had this kind of attention before. Ontario police have seized 2 records, deeming them obscene. On the back cover, the rodent has been shot. The titles have 4-letter words, "We can't show you," and the songs are full of descriptions of bodily functions that many people will find offensive. A father in Nepean, Ontario did. When his teenage daughter brought the record home, he decided it went too far. He's a police officer, and a 4-month investigation began.
Not the type of record that I would go out and buy. It bothers me that it's available simply in a record store.
Well, my feelings on obscenity are, I have a 3-year-old son, and personally I find a lot of what he watches on TV really bothers me. That's why a lot of my lyrics came from the original ideas were founded in a TV show or a TV commercial. I think just about everything that happens in our world and the way that our entire society seems to feel that it's like they have a holier-than-thou attitude and they have to parade around the world showing everybody else the error of their ways. I try not to take sides in my music. I just portray the stories from a neutral point of view, even if they are a little narrow and one-sided.
Local stores say the band is a good seller in its genre, and its records are available in several stores in downtown Vancouver. One album cover even has a sarcastic warning about the contents, but merchants say dirty lyrics have been around for years.
This record here is like ancient, and you know, it's
Dead
got
Kennedys.
lyrics. And, yeah, it's got lyrics, explicit lyrics. There's all kinds of records that have explicit lyrics, and it's in demand. It's not a big deal really, and funny that, you know, they would single out that record.
I don't think that there's anything there that's going to harm anyone. If anything, it's a lighter interpretation of the world. It's tongue-in-cheek completely.
This is CITR 101.9 from the UBC campus in Vancouver. It's now coming up.
The only place Dayglo Abortions gets airplay is on university campus radio stations, usually by request.
Once I did play them, and I found the song offensive, not necessarily the material in question, but one of their albums offensive, and I pulled it, and we ended up getting negative response from pulling the song.
As for the charges, Dayglo Abortions says the police did them a favor. Record sales are expected to climb.
Check 6 News with Mark Jen Brent.
Good evening. As a rock band from Victoria helps make legal history, albums by the local group called Dayglo Abortions have been seized by police in Ontario, and obscenity charges under the criminal code have been laid against the recording company and against a record distributor from Toronto, but no charges have been laid against the band. This is the first case of its kind in the country, so no doubt it will set legal precedent. There's also no doubt about the fact that it will help boost album sales. Harry Monyu has the story.
We are here! Here for today, but we'll be guano! Guano tomorrow!
They describe themselves as a satirical band that uses strong language to parody modern society. Too strong, according to Ontario police, who've seized hundreds of copies of the Victoria band's albums, entitled Here Today, Guano Tomorrow, and Fetus a Fetus. They've laid charges of obscenity against the recording company and the record distributor. The band, Dayglo Abortions, has not been charged.
The type of record that I would go out and buy, it bothers me that it's available simply in a record store.
I'm looking at this one, Kill Johnny Stiff, do it now, kick him in the head, stamp him in the ground, kill Johnny Stiff, wreck his life. You don't play this one?
No, it has a couple of blatant obscenities in it.
You know, I feel that, you know, a lot of my stories, I will admit they do tend to have a bit of a black streak in them. All of them do. I usually tend to laugh at the worst parts of society and the likes of that and poke fun at either end of the spectrum.
Guitarist Murray Acton writes most of the band's songs.
I suppose obscenities occur all the time, and obscenity is something that is defined by the laws, not something that's defined by a person's morals, really, and they seem to be rewriting the laws daily, and I guess maybe they're possibly a little vague on what's obscene. I think people being brutally murdered on TV is reasonably obscene. I don't really understand how to take it, you know.
The only local station that will air Dayglo Abortions music can be found at the University of Victoria.
$35 fine for skating in public. You're busted. Screw you, mister.
Dayglo Abortions produced one other album. It was financed by a backer who was looking for a tax write-off. He asked the band to make an album that was sure not to sell. The idea backfired, and as they say in showbiz, the rest is history.
Oh, geez, I'm willing to take a stand, really. When it gets down to it, I'm, quote, quote, an artist, possibly, but some people would disagree with that. And, you know, I think I should be able to say, paint, sing, draw, paint myself blue and run naked out of the hills in the name of art if I want to, really. It's just an expression. And sure, don't let your kids come and watch me. That's your own right. But, I'm not going to hurt them.
All right, so there's that. Very, very funny that the cop dad was complaining.
Honestly, how cool is his daughter?
Very cool. Yeah.
1988, you don't have the internet to access stuff. You don't have, you know, for her to have purchased that record, she had to go out of her way to get a copy of that record in 1988.
Yeah, yeah. And so there was it was a big deal. That's what this band is kind of most well known for at this point is that lawsuit. Um, but yeah, you can research more about it. And that's all I really have on that. But we do have a guest for this episode.
Shocking.
Well, funny you should say that because it's Bill Sassenberger from Toxic Shock Records.
Oh my God, is it?
Yes, who released the freaking Dayglo's record in the United States. So Bill Sassenberger's here, as I mentioned earlier. He has a book out called Toxic Shock Records: Assassin of Mediocrity from Earth Island Books, the same publisher that released my Propaganda Interviews collection. So let's hear my chat with Bill Sassenberger from Toxic Shock Records. Enjoy. Bill Sassenberger, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg.
Bill, I'm wondering if we can just start by having you introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners out there so they know a little bit about who you are and what you do and what you have done.
Well, I started a record store that in California, Pomona, California to be exact, back in 1980. And about 3 years later, we started a record label, and we did a few things in pretty brief succession there. Some local bands, a compilation that included a Canadian band, Red Tide, Barricaded Suspects, that came out in '83. And we also did a Red Tide 7-inch, which is one of the members of Dayglo Abortions under the name of Wayne Gretzky. That's actually Chris Prudhomme from Red Tide. So anyway, and we did the Red Tide, and then shortly after that, Corrosion of Conformity, Raw Power, and then along comes Dayglo Abortions. We did their Fetus of Fetus album.
Awesome. Well, it's so I know you had the record store in Pomona. When did the label start? Was it pretty close after that?
Yeah, it was 3 years after we got the store going. It was 1983 was the first, and we started out pretty economically. We just did a 7-inch compilation with 4 local bands on it. And then from there, we started doing more ambitious projects with full-length albums and compilations and numbers of 7 inches. And many, many years later, of course, CDs and whatnot. But in the early days, it was just vinyl 7 inches and 12-inch albums.
What was the lifespan of the store and the label?
Okay, well, the store lasted from 80 to 2014.
Okay.
And there was actually 5 locations in Pomona, 1 location in New Orleans, which operated at the same time as as we were running Pomona. So we had 2 at the same time in 2 different cities at one point. And then I moved back to Pomona and on to Tucson, where I stuck here the longest. I've been here like 23, 25 years, I lost count. And the store ended up in Tucson after that long stretch.
Cool. What about the label? So the label starts in 83-ish.
83, yeah, it was most active, I'd say, through most active years are probably 84. Then we kind of had a resurgence like late 80s when like the grunge thing was kind of new. We did like Skin Yard, we did Hullabaloo, then we also did Sloppy Seconds. All this at the same time. 88 to 89 was a really super active period for the record label.
Nice.
Then we continued beyond that. We did some local stuff from Tucson, did a Tucson compilation, a couple of Tucson bands, the Fells and Feast Upon Cactus Thorns. And then mid 90s, it kind of wound down a little bit. I did one other CD project with Raw Power, who were touring that year. And then it kind of was dormant for a while. 2008, I think we did a couple of reissues, like maybe the Screams from the Gutter, brought that back with After Your Brain by Raw Power. And 2010, I did a reissue of my band, Peace Corps. We did a 12-inch version of a collection of the various things we had put out. And that's been the last release I can think of. We did a reissue last year of the very first 12-inch we put out, which was the Barricaded Suspects album. We just figured, since the book was coming out, it would be a nice companion piece to to take with me on the road when I was selling the book. I'd have the album of, the early days for people who are interested in that. And it was out of print for 40 years, so I figured, well, why not bring that one back? So that one we did a small batch of 400 just last year.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned the book, and this is something that I think that listeners will really get a kick out of, is that everybody who listens to this podcast knows that I compiled my interviews with the band Propagandy into a book collection that I released with Earth Island Books in the UK. And as I was looking through the other released books, I came across your book, and you've actually been super helpful. I randomly DM'd you a couple times to help with some book tour event ideas and advice, and you were very gracious with me. But it's so funny that when I started researching Dayglo Abortions, Fetus a Fetus, and their song Wake Up America, which Propagandy covered, yeah, I put two and two together, and I was like, oh my God, the guy who did the book on Earth Island also released this Dayglo's album. And so that was a big moment for me, realizing that you and I were on the same publisher, and you had done this album that now Propagandy was covering, that we were talking about on the podcast. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity for you and I to really connect.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I remember doing the same thing, looking through the other authors on Earth Island and just seeing what else was out there. Of course, the book from UK Subs.
Yeah.
That was a big one. And I looked a little deeper and I saw Propagandy. Oh, I remember those guys. They were pretty great. And this is an interesting concept. It's more of a thing dissecting their whole body of work and not so much the typical take on it. So, yeah.
Well, now
Earth
you get to be a
Island,
part of it.
We have that in common. So, yeah, we're... And I'm glad that you're also getting out in the road, because that's pretty much what it takes. I mean, I'm finding the publisher, as nice as they are and generous they are, we really have to promote our own stuff to really get it out there. So,
yeah, they're as helpful as they possibly can be from super far away in the UK. So, but I know you did a self-released run of the book, right? Didn't Earth Island
yeah,
kind
I
of
paid the first batch I did in 2024, and I paid for the whole thing myself of a friend up in Phoenix that did a fanzine. He never had really done a book before. But we put our heads together and we tried to knock it out. And it came out pretty well. It was a small, self-published effort, and I did 1,500 of them. And over the course of the year of a lot of heavy traveling and whatnot, I was able to sell them all. So that was pretty cool. And I was about ready to hang it up. And I thought, well, how about an ebook? Maybe people, if the thing's out of print, maybe they could at least, read it online if they wanted to. And started getting into that. Fluke wasn't into that idea at all. But then I approached Welly Artcore. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's got a couple books on Earth Island as well. The compilation Nefarious Artist. You might want to check that out. Yeah, he did that. And he did another one about his band touring the country. So we got in touch because he also lives in Arizona. And he mentioned that, well, yeah, I could help you get an ebook together. But there's also a publisher in the UK who's done a couple of my books. They might be interested in actually doing a print edition. And he also, had the same feedback from my book of things were pretty cool, but a lot of the graphics were really tiny and stuff, and the photos are really small. He says, I could fix that. Some of these photos are like the size of a postage stamp. They're great photos. You really should have them so you can see them better. And I can help you redesign the book and get it, full pages where the graphics really pop out more and make it, do justice to what you've tried to do here. Make it look like a real well illustrated biography. So he knocked that out real quickly, and Earth Island was really happy with the results. And then from there, here we are. We've got a new edition out earlier this year, and the first city I took that to was actually in Canada. I took it to Montreal. Did a book signing up there at Sonic Records, and that was one of the more fun stops we had. But yeah, we also tried to do small. We popped in unannounced somewhat to in a store in Victoria, Supreme Echo. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but he's also a record label / record store. So he does a lot of old reissues of Victorian bands mostly. And so I popped in his store. It's very tiny. I mean, I don't know if what it is about Victoria. They got that miniature museum, but also this record store is the smallest thing I've ever seen. You walk into it and you're out of space. There's no other room to turn around. It's just a tiny little closet of a record store. So that was cool. And we traded some books because he did a book about the Victoria punk scene and whatnot. So got some books in there that way.
Awesome. Well, let's chat a little bit about Dayglows. So you mentioned a little bit about some of the development of the label and some of the bands that you signed. I'm a huge Corrosion of Conformity fan, so it's awesome to see that you've done their stuff too. But tell me how you found Dayglo Abortions originally and
Right.
how that relationship developed.
Well, I think because we were a pretty heavy distributor in the early days, before really launched the record label, the store became a distributor. So we were buying from other labels, like SST and Rough Trade and all this, and we were distributing stuff all over the country and world, really. We had a pretty big mail order operation, and we became a full-fledged distributor, just like some of the biggies. And one of the records I really fell in love with was the first Dayglo Abortions album. I don't know if your camera is going to be on this thing, but can you see this?
No, your camera's not on.
Oh, is it? Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Let's see. Well,
You just got to
anyway,
hit that little video button on Zoom, but it's all
yeah,
good.
it's their first self-release thing called Out of the Womb,
Mm-hmm.
and I just dug it because it was just so dumbed down, dirthead metal punk. I mean, it wasn't metal; it was just like real tongue-in-cheek sarcasm, real politically incorrect, the total opposite of propaganda, which is kind of surprising that they would cover a Dayglow's song. But anyway, I just dug that they were just kind of like in the same sense as Fear. I thought it was pretty tongue in cheek, and it was just hilarious. It was just a fun record. And then from there, I don't know if I wrote the band. I mean, this is so many years ago. We're talking 1984, so I
Yeah.
think either Jesus Bonehead, the drummer, contacted me, or I wrote possibly to the band saying, "Hey, I like your record. I want to carry it." Maybe it was out of print. That might have been the deal. And that got that conversation started. Like, yeah, well, we'd like to get that record back out there, but we don't have any money to do it. We're kind of looking for a record label. And I said, well, yeah, I've got this label going. We just did Raw Power and Corrosion of Conformity, and they were doing pretty well. And I really liked that first 12-inch you did. And he goes, yeah, well, we have some new songs, and we also have a new member from a band you might be familiar with, Chris from Red Tide. He's in the Dayglo Abortions now. I go, wow, that's great. Well, send me the tape of the newer stuff and let me see what we can come up with. So we basically combined their old 12-inch on side 2 and then put all the new stuff on side 1. And from there, they came up with a really great graphic, which was perfect for the times, with Reagan and the Nancy and Ronald Reagan with a plate of the aborted fetus with the candied yams or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, and I think they were really pushing the limits to try to get some publicity through controversy, because they were trying to really push the limits of censorship, I guess. And they actually just a couple of years later with Fringe Products, they got themselves in trouble through a obscenity trial, I guess, because of the artwork and content of the lyrics. Fringe Records had to go in to protect themselves from distributing pornography, basically. So that was that story. But
did you get drawn into the Fringe product?
Strangely
lawsuits?
enough, I did not. I mean, I might have helped sales on the U.S. side, but that never really became an issue here. I mean, surprisingly enough, even though it was our president that was being lampooned and mocked and everything, it never really became a thing, which was kind of a disappointment in a way.
Yeah, the interviews with Murray in 1988 he was on the news. I'm sure you've seen the videos; they're on YouTube and stuff. But Murray was giving interviews about the obscenity charges and everything, and it was just really interesting stuff to look back on at the time.
Yeah, of course, with Tipper Gore being in the headlines all the time, it seemed like it was bound to happen, and it was kind of cool. The thing that I did with the Dayglows is that the Raw Power guys from Italy, they were touring heavily in the United States and Canada. They'd seen more of both countries than I've ever seen, and probably you as well. But they were always on tour, and I figured, well, Dayglows would be a great band to co-headline a U.S. tour. So I put that together in 1986. So they toured together, and I was actually lucky enough to be able to tag along with them on a few shows. So I was able to see the Dayglows live, and that was a really great, fun experience.
Nice. The episode that you're on for my podcast is about the song "Wake Up, America." I don't know when the last time you've listened to this record is, but I'm curious if you haven't. Yeah,
I haven't played any Dayglows in years, and it's just the fact that you were interested in talking about this got me to spin the record again for the first time in maybe 20 years. And I just realized how fun and exciting it was. It was so stupid, but that made it so beautiful. It was, so I was just jumping around yesterday, just in pure joy from hearing it again. So it's been a while, but yeah, I realized this is why I like these guys. They're just hilarious, you know?
Yeah,
So
it's such an interesting record too. And George from Propagandy on the live record, he actually says this is the album that got me into punk rock. He says it right into the microphone. And so whenever I think about, my favorite band of all time, Propagandy, and like
yeah,
looking at their influences throughout the life of the podcast has been one of my favorite
yeah,
elements
I
of the
bet.
show.
Yeah,
Like
what made them a band, right?
Sacrifice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sacrifice and Razor and Corrosion of Conformity and Voivod and Concrete Blonde and Dayglows. I mean, this is stuff
Uh,
that has opened my eyes to a world of
right.
music that was just one generation before me, because I'm 41 and the guys in the band are about 55. And so
Yeah.
it's just one generation before me, seeing what
Right.
made my favorite art come to
Well, what's
exist,
cool to me as I'm a seven, I just turned 70 this year to see that their legacy is continuing on, even without them being a super active band. I mean, they do some touring, I guess, still, maybe with just one original member, but just the fact that the other generations and other bands have been influenced by them, and their whole thing legacy is continuing on through the years. It's pretty satisfying.
Yeah, did
Yeah.
you remain a fan of Dayglows over the years? Because I know they had some
I,
lineup changes and Murray
Yeah,
left and
I
they
kind of
became more
lost
thrashy.
interest after the Guano album. They
Hmm.
got really metal, and I mean, I like metal up to a degree, but I just kind of thought it was a little bit much. And I was moving on to different stuff. By the late '80s and stuff, I was more getting tired of the straight hardcore stuff, and especially the crossover metal tinged hardcore. I mean, I was into it sort of, but I was kind of looking at other stuff as well. So they were out of my radar at a certain point, like by the late '80s when I started trying to branch out with the Skin Yard and Jesus Christ learned Sloppy Seconds. It was really kind of I lost touch. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the record deal was it was a 5-year record deal and it was expired and they moved on to some other I don't know how many other labels have put out the Fetus album at this point, but there's been quite a few and whatever. And I was just doing my own thing.
Do you have any idea how many copies of Fetus you wound up selling in the big picture?
Oh man, that's really hard to say because there were so many shipments done and so many distributors that went out of business that didn't pay for those records. So,
Yeah.
what got out there was probably a lot more than I actually got, ended up selling because a lot of these bankrupt distributors didn't really help you in the financial end of things. But it was several thousand, I could tell you that. I mean, it was one of our better sellers. I mean, it wasn't as big as Corrosion, but it wasn't far behind that. It was maybe right after Screams from the Gutter by Raw Power is probably maybe neck and neck with those guys for a while. Yeah, it was up there.
What was your biggest seller ever? Do you know?
I think the Raw Power Screams from the Gutter was well. Actually, I'll take that back. The Corrosion and Conformity Eye for an Eye probably did sell more than Raw Power, but they were closely behind it.
Do you have
Yeah.
any relationships with the bands that you put out back in the 80s and stuff? Like, do you still talk to any of these people socially?
Yes, I actually flew to Japan just to hang out with Raw Power again.
Oh,
They didn't know
sweet.
I was coming. They were touring Japan this summer, and I'd made they've never really broken up. I mean, a lot of people they were like Italy's Black Flag, but except for the fact they just never broke up. They just kept going, different incarnations. There was the core members were still there. They replaced drummers and guitar players and whatnot over the years, but we remained friends. I mean, I toured with them a lot, doing like their merchandise in the '90s and early 2000s and stuff. We went to Mexico together, and here more recently, I wanted to go see them in Portugal, which didn't work out, and also wanted to go see them in Mexico City, which didn't work out. And I told them, hey, I'm going to be there, but I wasn't able to. It's just a long story, which will be in my upcoming book. I'm going to talk about some of that stuff. But
Awesome.
I knew they were touring Japan, and I figured, well, let me try to get to Japan and just show up and say, hey, can you get me on the guest list and see what happens? So luckily, I was able to do it, and I surprised them, and it was really great because I hadn't seen them in probably at least 10 years or so at that point.
Man.
Yeah, so I definitely keep in touch with them. Keep in touch with Hullabaloo. We just did a co-book tour, another Earth Islands author with the book called Qatar Gonat.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also friends from he was like the Sluggo's a great storyteller and stuff. I always admired his stories on Facebook, and he finally put it all together in a book. And his big thing is like he was friends with Kurt Cobain, and he ended up getting his guitar, which he was able to sell for a large amount of money to get his family out of bankruptcy and stuff. So that was he's been a good friend that I've stayed in touch with. And then there's Jeff from the Hickoids from Texas. He's another character that he's the only surviving member of the original band, and the rest of them have passed on, and actually, passed. When I say passed on, I mean passed away. So he's the original guy, but he's got a new band together that's is better than ever. The band is still going strong, so I stay in touch with them as well. See them whenever I have an opportunity. So there are a handful of bands that I definitely stay in touch with to this day.
Nice. I know before we started recording, you mentioned that you managed to see Propaganda back in the 90s when you were doing like the record store and stuff. Do you have any particular memories of those shows of this band that I mostly talk about on the show?
Yeah, well, Propaganda to me, I remember the 90s. Like, what was their first album? Was it the How to Clean?
How to Clean It, yeah.
Yeah, that was I liked that record a lot. I mean, and it was like one of the few things on Fat Records that I really enjoyed. I wasn't a huge fan of NoFX and all the other, cookie cutter kind of pop punk bands and stuff, but Propaganda stuck out like, hey, this is different. This is cool. These guys are serious. I mean, they got a little tongue in cheek, but they're also not afraid to put their politics, up front. And they got good music. Their musicianship is, right up there. So they were like, to me, they were like one of my favorite Canadian bands at the time, right behind maybe No Means No. So
yeah,
yeah.
Awesome.
I was really into No Means No by the 90s and on. They were one of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, John's been on this podcast before, so
cool. Yeah.
And they're a huge influence on Propaganda as well. Jordan and Todd have talked about them a lot. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I sent you a link to the Propaganda version of Wake Up America. Did I send you that?
I didn't, and I looked for it today before this interview, and I couldn't find a YouTube thing of it. But yeah, I haven't actually heard it. I'm not sure. I've got the live record you mentioned that it came off of or whatever. But
what I'll do is I will send you a direct link to their Bandcamp, which has it. But
okay.
You don't need to specifically comment on it for this podcast but it's pretty cool. It's just a live thing they recorded in their hometown in Winnipeg, and it's a guest vocalist, but the vocalist who sings it was the bass player in Propaganda before John K. Samson from the Weakerthans.
Okay.
And so the guy singing it was one of the former Propaganda bass players who was just their buddy in town.
Okay. So it's like a one-off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're just partying and hanging out. So this is their version on their Bandcamp that I sent you in the chat. So you can check that out later.
All right, cool. I'll look forward to it.
Do you have any other Dayglo's stories or anything like that you feel like are funny and worth listeners hearing about?
Well, I remember that the Raw Power Dayglo tour was pretty wild. I mean, it started in L.A. They were supposed to open up for Motorhead, and I think what I read recently is that the Dayglows actually didn't get to play that show. They were supposed to play Fender's Ballroom, which was a pretty big Golden Voice production show, and it was a huge deal back at that time frame. And for some reason, Lemmy of Motorhead didn't like the content of the Dayglows material, and he didn't want the band to play. So they got booted off the bill there. That was the opening date of the tour. But anyway, they went from there up the coast and whatnot. And I caught up with them in Salt Lake City, of all places, because I knew Raunch Records in Salt Lake pretty well. And I saw their show there, which was first time I saw them was Salt Lake, and that was pretty awesome. The thing that I couldn't remember, looking back, that I don't think Murray was in the band during that tour, because I don't recall meeting him. And, I know that he's the main songwriter and whatnot. The main guy I was dealing with was Jesus Bonehead, the drummer. And then there was Spud, the bass player, which was original member, but they had other guitar players, the Impaler or whatever, Vlad the Impaler, I think his name was.
Nice.
And I don't remember Murray being part of that tour, so that was kind of an odd thing. But the other thing I remember is that the Raw Power guys were actually pretty petrified because the drunk Canadians behind the wheel of a school bus, which was their mode of transportation, was a pretty scary thing when they were, because Dayglows were like, they like to do drugs and drink, and they were pretty scary behind the wheel of a large vehicle and down the interstate. So Yeah, it was a cool tour, but it was scary and funny, and it was all a lot of combination of stuff going on there.
I'm looking at their timeline right now on Wikipedia, and it looks like they have Nev the Impaler from 86 to 89.
There
And
you
it looks
go.
like Nev the Impaler actually passed away in 2013, according
Oh
to
wow.
the internet here.
Okay.
But yeah, and I also enjoyed your comment about Wayne Gretzky
Yeah.
from the band, aka uh, Chris Chris.
Chris, yeah, from Red Tide, another Victoria, BC band that I was a we did a record with, and I was a huge fan of. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
their drummer, another Canadian connection. Their drummer Ken Jensen, he was I
Oh
finally
yeah.
got to meet him when the DOA came to Tucson. He finally said, "Hey man, thanks for putting out their record and all that." And that was just a couple years before he got killed in a fire, which was very tragic.
Wow.
So he's not around either. He got trapped in his house in a fire, so that was a horrible thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, another DOA connection to this podcast is that Propaganda covered DOA,
Okay.
and Joe Keithley was a guest on the podcast last year. I get
Another
around.
connection for my personal Canadian connection. DOA was the first punk band I saw live.
Awesome.
When they were a three-piece, they just changed my life. That band.
Oh man, that's
Because I
so
had a
cool.
friend who, I come from like a kind of a leftist hippie background before the punk rock thing came along, and a friend who was a fellow yippie, Steve Morris. He was telling me, hey, the Clash is cool and everything. We were talking about the Clash at the time because they were pretty big. He says, but there's this Canadian band called DOA, man, and they make the Clash sound like a bunch of wimps. You got to check them out. I go,
Nice.
okay, let's check it out. So they're playing Hong Kong Cafe, Chinatown here in the next weekend. Let's go down and check out the show. I go, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
So
I'm way more into DOA than the Clash as well. I'm totally in
yeah.
that camp.
Oh yeah, they couldn't beat them when they're in their prime with the three-piece and also with Dave Gregg in the band. I saw them open up for Black Flag at the Whiskey at the Creepy Crawl show. They were just phenomenal, man. You just
Man, that's
couldn't
great.
beat DOA.
So Bill, you got the book out, the Toxic Shock Records book, Assassin and Mediocrity. Where
Thank
can
you.
listeners get in touch with you, find you, buy the book, check out like previews of the book? Where would you send people if they wanted to, check out what it is that you've done, dig into
Okay.
your back discography, find the book, learn more about
Right.
your work?
I would say probably the simplest way is toxicshockrecords.com. Of course, you can go to Earth Island Books. If you're in the UK, that's handy if you want to purchase it there. I don't think they've got a way that you can get U.S. postage prices, with the book from the Earth Island's website. But I have books, personal copies of my own that I sell direct, and I'll sign them for you and whatnot. So go through my website, toxicshockrecords.com would be the easiest way to reach me. I'm also on Facebook, of course, and Instagram. If you want to search that way by my name or the label name, you'll run into me.
Nice. Well, that's what I do too. If anybody wants books from me, I'm always like, "Hey, does anybody want one of these?" And then people DM me on Instagram and stuff, and that's just the best way to do it. You get a batch.
Yeah. That's the
Sent to your house.
the first the one that I did before Earth Island, the self-published one. That's how I got the word out, is through Instagram and Facebook, just connecting with old friends that remember the store. And it was the mail order was amazing when it first came out, because all these people came out of the woodwork. Hey, I need to hear these stories, man. It brings back so many childhood memories or teenage memories or whatever. I gotta check it out. So that was definitely social media with all of its fallacies and terrible misinformation and all this other nonsense. Still serves a good purpose to reconnect with people from your past. So that's the
Awesome.
one good thing it does.
Well, man, Bill, without social media, you and I would have never connected. And, I wouldn't have put together the fact that I have chatted with the person who put out Fetus a Fetus in the US when we were making this record, or when we were making this podcast episode. So it was really kind of an amazing and fortuitous way to have you on the show and geek out about Earth Island a little bit and COC and Dayglo's and so much more. But Bill, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and telling listeners a little bit about the history of the label and some of the work that you've done over the years and adding a little bit of lore to the Dayglo's story that we're telling here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd like to quote John Waters here, because he was asked, why doesn't he do podcasts? And he says, well, I'm not giving my shit away for free. Buy the book.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't even want you to dig into the rest of the book.
I just
people
want to give
read
you a
it.
teaser. If you want to really know more, I mean, there's some pretty in-depth stories of some dirt on Christian death for the goth people out there. There's
Nice.
a lot of raw power stories. It's just a real rollicking ride from the 80s, 90s up to 2014. So there's a lot of personal stuff in there, and it's also a lot of punk rock history and a lot of really great. I think it was really well illustrated, especially the Earth Island edition, the photographs and just the way it's illustrated came out really well. I'm very happy with it.
Did Brian Walsby do your cover art?
He sure did. Yeah,
Oh
Brian Walsby
man.
did the cover. He did my little caricature on the Facebook profile, and also a number of drawings inside the book of various bands are in their Corrosion Conformity, Raw Power, Dayglo Abortions. He did one for the new edition. They're in there as well. There's a Walsby edition, Walsby rendition of the band.
I have an original Brian Walsby drawing in my house.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm a big fan of his, and I was just looking at this and I was like, wait a second, Brian Walsby totally drew this.
Yeah, yeah, and he was really great to work with because he's super quick and he's very humble, and he doesn't ask for a whole lot of money. I mean, I could have asked some other people; it would have taken forever and cost me a couple of arms or whatever. But he was just really generous and just cranked it out, and it was fun working with him and coming up with the cover. I figured I don't know what to do with the cover because I got this book. I guess I should put the record store that people relate to or whatever on the cover. That'd be good. And he goes, well, that's fine and all that, but don't you want a picture of yourself on there? I go, well, not really, but I guess that makes sense. So let's go ahead and. So he came up with the drawing and the whole put the two together, and I think the cover came out pretty well.
Oh man, Bill, that's so great. Well, Bill Sassenberger, thank you so much.
thank you.
Toxic Shock Records, Assassin to Mediocrity, a story of love, loss, and loud music. Thanks for coming on the podcast and chatting with me, man. I really appreciate
Yeah, Greg,
your time.
thanks so much for having me, and good luck with your book. I can't wait. Maybe we'll cross paths on one of our book tours one of these days.
Can't wait.
Let's do it.
All right. Fun time. Let's talk about Propaganda's version and compare it to Dayglo's version. Tell me what you think.
I just want to come out straight ahead and say I prefer the Dayglo version to the Propaganda version.
Yeah. Why?
The vibe, the attitude, the rawness, the Dayglo version just seems more real versus obviously the Propaganda version is just is a mockery of it.
Yeah, and the Dayglo's version has this really long alternative introduction where there's like an alternative national anthem essentially. But before we get to that, the version on the live album, Scott Hopper, who used to play bass in Propaganda, comes up on stage. Chris orders Hopper to get naked. Hopper says he lost a bet. Chris says Hopper is sucking in his gut. A song for our southern neighbors is what is said, as well as quote. And George says that this is the album that got him into punk rock on the mic. And Hopper did kind of a good job on the vocals. And if you watch it on your DVD, you can see Hopper hopping around in his tidy whities. But something that you cannot see on YouTube is the audio commentary track from the DVD. Chris and Derek have an audio commentary track. So I put the DVD on and I held up my phone's voice memo recording software to the TV speaker and I recorded their commentary. So this is the only place that you'll be able to find this on the internet is right here on this podcast. So I'm bringing an exclusive internet world debut to Chris and Derek talking about their commentary on Dayglo's, on Hopper, on this performance. So you're welcome, Steve, for going through this hard labor of holding up my phone to the TV speaker.
I wouldn't expect any less from you.
All right, here we go. This is Chris Hanna and Derek Hogue talking about the song on the live audio commentary from the DVD.
If you look close, well, not even that close. You can see Hopper's bag a bunch of times here.
Yeah. Why is he grabbing himself?
I think he's worried that he's going to be exposed, but little does he know he has no choice. He's going to be exposed.
So Hopper's about to get into it here. Put on his game face. There it is.
Yeah.
He's ready. This is a Dayglo's cover.
Yeah, Dayglo Abortions,
Canadian band.
Canadian band who are
Victoria.
Generally stupid.
Yeah, they used to be brilliant and put out some very important records, at least to me and George, back in the early 80s, and then proceeded to become dumber and dumber as the years went on.
Yeah, I think their brains are drug-addled, perhaps.
Yes. But great song.
The Fetus, A Fetus America record, I think, is...
Fetus, A Fetus America.
Is that what it's called?
Fetus, A Fetus.
What's that?
Fetus, A Fetus, it's called.
That's what he just said. Fetus, A Fetus. Isn't it just called Fetus, A Fetus America?
There's no America.
Isn't there?
Fetus, A Fetus.
Why did I always think that there was America on the end of it?
I don't know.
What if I prove you wrong?
Then I'll give you $1,000. And if you're wrong, you give me $1,000.
What?
You heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to make $1,000.
And I'll give you a check.
Yeah, check and rate. What?
But I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that album. It was a... Oh, Jesus.
Here's Hopper. He's either hurt himself or he's realized he has shrinky dink and he's trying to cower from the crowd. I'm telling him to get up.
This or this. And then you can choose the card from here or...
All right, and we're back. Okay, so we got this alternative intro from the Dayglo's version. It's like, "Oh, say can you see by the sun's fading light the remains of your land? Let the cruise missiles fly through the northern sky while the rest of us died. Oh, say can you see by the star-spangled..." But there's a lot of Star-Spangled Banner or something like that. There's a lot of this cool like alternative reworking version of the national anthem to talk about the missiles and everything like that are so prominent in the United States today. But yeah, the propaganda version obviously doesn't do that alternative introduction, which kind of takes away from the effect of it all.
Yeah, it would be hard to do that live too.
Exactly. So what are your thoughts on the lyrics? How are you feeling about them?
Honestly, like the lyrics are very time and place for me because a lot of music that was of this genre from this time period lyrically are all very similar. Like if I look back at like Zoe's dad's bands from this time, like we did the cover of Nazi Dog, right?
Right.
The lyrics are all very similar to how the lyrics are in this song. Like it's a time and place thing with, like you're to the mid 1980s. Everything is very, very similar with how lyrically songs are structured.
Yeah, very Cold War.
Yeah.
Very Cold War tone. A lot of like bombs and a lot of like Reagan references. And, the Cold War era was a very specific time and place. And so that's a really interesting aspect. And this is like, to me, like right when globalization was kind of really kicking off as far as like moving manufacturing around the world and stuff like that. So the lyrics are like, "Wake up America, be a good American and buy American and pledge your next car to be American." So there's a whole bunch of references to the era of what kind of propaganda was being foisted upon citizens about what it meant to be a good citizen in a country. And a lot of that has to do with the economy and spending money and buy. You know what I mean? It's all about like, how do you do a good job with citizenship? Well, you spend money. That's how.
It's kind of not far off of like what's kind of happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I just got that flyer that you sent me, and it is amazing to see Soul Asylum listed on here as well.
Yeah. So he actually said to me, he said, "I went to the Soul Asylum show with Slow too. I sat on the front of the stage for the whole thing. It was the best show I've ever seen."
Wow.
That was his commentary. So
Yeah, Dave Perner from Soul Asylum, man. Interesting little Soul Asylum thing. Recently, the band Ultra Bomb came through Buffalo and stayed at my house. So I had Greg Norton from Husker Du, Ryan from Soul Asylum, and Derek O'Brien, who played drums on Social Distortion's Mommy's Little Monster record, at my house overnight. So those guys were just here. So I had a Soul Asylum member sleep at my house a while, just pretty recently, which is kind of funny.
And they may or may not have broken a window.
There was a broken window involved. That is indeed true, and the window was recently fixed for $48. Where I took the frame of the original window from the 1950s to a cutting center where this old guy does custom, just regular custom cuts for anything, and he put in a new batch of putty and a new pane of glass. So that window has actually been fixed for, and I didn't even have to replace the entire thing or deal with like some assholes like Window World or something.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man, fix your shit. Fix your old shit, people. You don't need to replace every little thing brand new sometimes. Just get a little creative with getting your work done. But yeah, it's I don't know, the song's fine. It's okay. I actually kind of like the song. I like it more than most other Dayglo stuff that I listen to. I listen to a bunch of their stuff, and it's all fine, but it's just stuff that isn't really for me. You know, I was a
And
little
that's the thing. Yeah, like if I'm going to listen to something, like I'm going to listen to Reagan Youth over Dayglo every time.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's fine. Interesting message, but the music is cool. I like the I love the way that on the DVD version, it's like "Wake Up, America." I like Hopper. I think it's fun. I think it adds a little levity to the situation, and some joy to the show, because you know Hopper was in Propaganda and he's still kind of involved in their little circle.
He's in the universe.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool to see a former member getting involved in a way and still hanging out with the band and having a good time, even though he's not in the band anymore. So I don't know.
I want
Solid
to. I want
cover.
to see at another Propaganda Winnipeg show. I want to see them do the Venom cover with Samson on vocals.
Oh man, dude, that you're just making things up at this point.
Wouldn't that be unreal? No one would ever think that would ever happen in a million years. It would never happen in a million years, but imagine if it did.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Stand up and be counted." You know, it would be very good. All right, cool. So that's really all I've got. Not a huge Dayglo Abortions fan. They were never really a band that was super on my radar. I appreciate that so many people consider them to be one of the greatest Canadian hardcore bands ever. It just doesn't really connect with me, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Chris and Derek on their DVD commentary just say this is a dumb band. They got dumber over time. So apparently there are some issues here that that people out there may know about that I was not able to find. But yeah, you know, I'm glad that we didn't have to take this episode super seriously. But it is the day after an election, so it's nice to see Wake Up America and to watch people panic about election results today that didn't go their little narcissistic ways. So I'm feeling pretty happy watching some other Americans that I don't particularly like wake up today and watch their reactions and some hissy fits. So I'm having a good time with that.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, like, you know, am I going to listen to Dayglo Abortions? No.
Yep.
Absolutely not. I'm going to continue listening to Cro-Mags because that's what I listen to.
Yeah. So it was nice to find that obscenity YouTube clip. It's nice to chat with Bill Sassenberger, who signed Dayglo Abortions to Toxic Shock Records and released this album in the US. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this very random episode.
Give me a rating.
For the cover? Are we rating it as far as Propaganda covers go?
Rate it in the Propaganda catalog.
1. I'm
One.
giving
it a 1.
Okay, cool. So I'm glad they covered it. It said earlier that there was no official studio version of this recorded. I don't care that no official version exists. It's fine. It did not elicit a huge emotional reaction for me that I would usually need to go down the rabbit hole and tons and tons and tons of research. So if you're a super fan of Dayglo Abortions out there and you're listening to this and you're really pissed at me, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
like,
sorry that happened to you.
just the sequencing of the show. They played this song after Hard Times.
No, they didn't. Hard Times is last.
I thought this one was right after Hard Times.
So 19 is Wake Up America, 20 is True, and 21 is Hard Times.
Okay, because I was like, Jesus, like you can't play this after Hard Times.
Yeah. Wait a second. Where the hell is Technocracy? I need to go back and look at the Bandcamp really quick because Technocracy is not on the DVD track list. So let me just make sure that I am not completely.
So Technocracy is after Hard Times on the
live one on the digital one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bandcamp has Technocracy, but the DVD does not have Technocracy. I bet
sorry,
there's a spacing issue.
I made a mistake. It wasn't Hard Times. I was thinking they played Wake Up America after Purina Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
Like, how do you follow up Purina Hall of Fame with that?
Well, they probably played Purina, did the stupid ass leave the stage thing, then came out and did covers.
It doesn't even matter. Like, you play Purina Hall of Fame, you end, you leave,
that's the mic
and you
drop.
never come back.
Yeah, seriously. Like, don't even play another show. Like, you play, like, if Propaganda ever does their last show someday and they know it's their last show, you need to end the show on Purina Hall of Fame and never play another note of music ever again. Purina is the one that Propaganda should play last at their last show ever.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And the solo needs to be 5 extra minutes of them just George blasting away back there full speed ahead and Chris just going full Joe Rico on it.
What a dream that would be.
What a dream.
I hope that we could be there.
Yeah.
And just like arms in the air, just like living our best life.
Todd, if you're hearing this, put me on the guest list for your last show ever.
And that needs to be your last song. Just heads up.
Well, folks, thank you so much for listening. This has been a very ramshackle episode. I have no regrets. And we're working on some other episodes. I've
got some good things planned.
You do?
Plus, we have to plan it. We have not planned it yet. We have our big year-end episode in which Greg will be competing against Zoe in another type of challenge.
God damn it. We're already to that time of year. Oh, crap. Also, we need to start planning a 30th anniversary of Let's Talk More Rock episode. And we need to do an unscripted moment episode. And we need to do... I want to start the At Peace episodes with No Longer Young. Although we do have episodes from At Peace now out for At Peace, Cat Guy, Something Needs to Die, but Maybe Not You. So we've got some stuff from the new record already out that other people have made for us. So we'll get there, folks. We're having fun and we're going at our pace these days. But yay, Dayglo Abortions episode in the bag. Thanks, Steve.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
You
let's just chat about some other stuff for a bit. And so if you are a listener and you're like, wait, just skip forward 15 or 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Prior to this, one very important thing that we're about to do, he actually just replied to me.
Dude, what did he say?
He said, yes, we opened for them at RPM once. It was hilarious. They wanted to go on first so they could get out of there and get back to the party or whatever they were doing. So we actually ended up headlining. It was a blast. One of our best shows.
Ah, man, I love that. What year would that have been? Would that have been
I
late
just
80s?
asked him which band of his it was and what year.
Cool.
Because there
Yeah,
might be a poster for it in the TO hardcore book.
Oh man. Okay, so if I go to Apple Music and I look up Dayglo Abortions records, they've got something out in 1981 called Out of the Womb, and then Feed Us a Fetus with the Reagans on the front cover. And then Here Today, Guano Tomorrow came out in 88. So Feed Us a Fetus and Here Today, Guano Tomorrow are the two most popular ones that I can tell in my new fandom and my new like listening. I'm not really a fan, but that's kind of what we got as far as history goes here. But let's chat about some other stuff.
Yeah, I'll let you know if he replies to me about which band and what year it was.
Yeah. So what is going on here, Steve? What do we need to catch up on?
So first thing that we need to catch up on, our last episode we recorded together was like a month and a half ago.
In flagrante delicto. Yeah.
And since then, we've had he said it was with his band was East Los. So I think that was probably around, if I had to guess, 85, 86.
Wow. So this is like right around Fetus a Fetus. Cool.
Oh, and he has a flyer for the show that he's going to text me on his break at work. So I will send that to you and you can post the flyer.
Sweet. Will do. I love that. That's awesome.
But yeah, so the month and a half, we've had a lot of NFL season take place during our recording hiatus.
Yeah. It's really it's so much has happened. So we just hit the trade deadline yesterday. The Bills made 0 moves, despite everybody in Bills Reddit being completely in shambles about having defensive tackle issues and wide receiver issues. But yes, it's been a very eventful season, a very weird season.
And like so the Bills are currently at 6-2, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? And they started the year 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lost 2 back-to-back. And everyone went into meltdown mode.
That happens every year. They lose 2 in a row every year.
They lost 2 in a row last year to, was it Baltimore and Houston?
Yeah.
Or whatever, right? And like they're 6-2. I think they were 6-2 last year.
Yeah. And then the year before that, actually, at midseason, they were. There was one time 2 seasons ago where they were 6-6.
Yeah, and so right now, I guess the difference this year is the Patriots aren't complete garbage.
Yeah, the Patriots are ascendant, which is a real drag. I have been very bummed out at the ascendant New England Patriots.
Do I think the Patriots are going to keep up this pace for the entire rest of the season? I don't think so.
Interesting. I don't know, man. It's looking pretty good for them.
It's looking good, but at some point, their inexperience and their young quarterback, I think, is going to show, and they're going to drop maybe 2 more games this year. I think they're still only going to finish with 4 losses, but I think the Bills do have a chance to get by them because I think the Bills arguably could run the table for the rest of the year.
We'll see. That would be real nice. I won't lie. That would be nice to see.
But the whole league is in shambles compared to what it normally is this year. Like the core of the way the league has been for the last, I want to say 5 years is completely upside down this year, with teams that are normally garbage are really good this year and teams that are really good are complete garbage.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts have come out of nowhere. Jonathan Taylor is having an MVP season. Daniel Jones, who was completely terrible with the New York Giants because he had no offensive line protecting him his entire duration of time there. He's been really, really great. And, that's a huge development is the Colts. And then the Colts just got some help at cornerback. They traded for Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets yesterday. So the Colts have a pretty.
The Colts they're making a run for it.
They're going for it this year because they traded 2 first-round picks to the New York Jets for Sauce Gardner. So like they are betting that this is their year, full stop, because then the next 2 years they don't have a first-round pick.
Given that they just got smoked by Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and during that game, man, I tell you what, like I love watching quarterbacks' faces because their emotions are so visible. When Josh Allen is having a bad day, his face looks like he is ready to like commit suicide immediately. He's like, "Get me off this earth. I'm done. No more of this." And Daniel Jones always has this deer in headlights look when he played with the Giants because he was just constantly getting wrecked. And he looked like that the other day against the Steelers, where he just had that New York Giants face on. And I was like, "Oh, there's the Danny Dimes I know." So it was a pretty fun time watching the Colts get absolutely slayed the other day.
I need your prediction now. Will the Baltimore Ravens make the playoffs?
I don't think so. And it's not that big of a deal, really. I mean, if you miss a year, you have a down year, like that's just the way it goes. And would I be disappointed if I was in their shoes at the moment? Like, yeah, I would. But you know what though? People are saying that they're going to make it. So the odds are in their favor. The odds, the people who talk about football professionally, of which I am not, they say they will. And I'm saying maybe not. So we'll see what happens.
Do you think that's because everyone has an inflated opinion of Baltimore?
Perhaps, yes. And having Lamar out for a couple of weeks and then having them just get completely trashed on those games, it shows that it really is kind of almost a one-man show over there because even Derrick Henry was pretty useless.
Nothing. Can we just talk about even prior to Lamar getting hurt? They were also nothing special.
They weren't, yeah. And so not really the Ravens' year, which I don't care. I mean, whatever. I'm sure that there will be a year where Josh Allen plays for the Bills where they have not a great time either. And I keep expecting it to happen because if I look at like the Bills roster and I look at the Ravens roster, I would think that the Ravens would be a little better, because they have that Derrick Henry thing. But yeah, James Cook and Josh Allen are kind of having a Lamar and Derrick Henry-esque season, if you think about it.
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I'm here
for it.
It's been great to watch. Like last week's game against KC.
Yeah.
What a treat to watch that was.
It was really great, and it was a little stressful. Patrina and Beecher were in the end zone at their seats when Prater hit the upright, and she texted me, she's like, "I'm about to barf." And I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty sickening because you give the Chiefs, who are essentially the Bills' kryptonite, enough time on the clock. I mean, you give them 13 seconds or more, and the Chiefs will get down the field." So honestly, we pulled it out pretty well, and obviously Josh had a kind of a career day, and set some records, but it could have gone either way for a few minutes there.
I want to shout out the Bills' defense
in
that game. That was their best defensive game of the year.
Yeah, it was amazing to see Max Hairston sticking like glue to Xavier Worthy, who's got that speed that he's so well known for. So Hairston being in there, huge. I'm
With
really
all
going
the
to miss
injuries,
Michael Hoyt.
like, come on.
Michael Hoyt was so disruptive in the game and a half that we had him, and I'm really going to miss him. But Bosa had a great game, despite people talking tons of trash about his decision on 4th and 17, where he had sort of a clear shot at Mahomes. But he,
it was a trick. It was like a trick play. Like he
got faked out.
People are going to get people. It was designed to happen. What happened? Like you're not going to be perfect every time. Like people need to chill on that.
Yeah. So Bosa had a weird moment, but overall, he has been an absolute beast, game changer for us, and I'm just so hopeful that he stays healthy for the rest of the year because we lost Hoyt and we lost Ed Oliver, so we're a little short on
Taylor Rapp has gone too.
Yeah, but Poyer's playing well, which is nice, and Cole Bishop was everywhere.
Unreal. He was the MVP of that game.
Yeah, Cole Bishop being absolutely everywhere. I'm okay with if we're sticking with Bishop and Poyer for the moment. But because like man, having Hairston in now splitting snaps with Trey at CB is like so helpful as well.
Cole Bishop, if you're listening, well, obviously you are. Great game.
Dude, somebody send the podcast to Cole Bishop, please. You know Cole Bishop needs to be a Propaganda fan. Come on. That's what's up.
Man.
Yeah, I'm excited for the game this weekend. I'm enjoying the fact that the games now are not at 8:20 p.m. We've got some earlier games, so I don't have to stay up until like midnight every freaking game for a while. But we've got the Dolphins next, and we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's an absolute clobber fest.
And Greg and I are currently in an NFL pool together. And Greg is currently
I'm like
in.
getting smoked.
Greg is currently at has a total of 73 points. I currently have a total of 87 points, and
Mhm.
Patrina currently has a total of 88 points.
Is she in first still?
Patrina is still in first.
She has been running the table the whole season.
It's crazy.
It's all vibes too. She's just
been
like she's just got
like
good
one
vibes
ahead
on her
of me.
picks.
Last week, her and I had the exact same picks across the board.
Wow.
So I couldn't gain any ground on her.
Oh, I love it. I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for her to pull it out for the whole entire season because that would be like, she would be like the undefeated New England Patriots, like all the way to the end of the season. You know what I mean? Just holding in first place for the entire season.
She's
it's gonna
doing
be
well.
funny.
I got the flyer from Zoe's dad.
Oh, text it over to me. I'm curious.
Yeah, I absolutely will. And they
Is
they
it-
spelled
is it a
his
good one?
band name wrong on the flyer too.
Oh my God. That is amazing. Have you guys been to any shows lately?
Yes.
Really?
I
Why?
Oh, we went to see Monine.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said it was great.
It was unbelievable.
That's
it was
awesome.
so good. I was trying to estimate. I think this week was 2 weeks ago or whatever. I think it was my 27th time seeing Monine.
That is awesome.
And I've like since way back to like original Small Man tour, like, and they're just a ball of happiness.
Man, that's great.
And I hadn't seen them like on a proper headlining show in 15 years at least. And it was just so fun and so like smile on your face all night. It was just amazing.
That's great. Is that the only one you've been to recently?
Well, yeah, the Monine, and then obviously the Propaganda shows, which we already talked about. Monine, and then
Yeah.
I've got Saturday this week, so in a couple days, I've got Whispers, One Step Closer, Scowl, and Tsunami.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. Is it in Hamilton or is it up in Toronto?
It's in Toronto Saturday evening, but it's right after the Hamilton Ticats Eastern Conference final game is at 3 p.m. Saturday here in Hamilton. So we're going to the game, going from the game directly to the train station and training into Toronto to hopefully make it by the time Whispers goes on.
Wow. Oh
And
my
then
God.
Next week I've got Blue Rodeo, which I'm super fired up about. And then
Nice.
at the end of November, Blind Guardian.
Killer. I'm seeing Jack's Mannequin in Toronto this Friday. So I will be driving past your house and I will wave while we're in traffic. But the only other show I've been to recently was the show that we put on in Winnipeg.
Oh yeah.
Went to Winnipeg for a book release event at Public Domain in Winnipeg, and we had two musical acts. Mike Coop from the Bonaducci's, a Winnipeg institution, opened the show, and it was really great. And it was awesome to meet Mike. We've been chatting and just engaging on Instagram accounts for several years now, so it was awesome to collaborate with Mike. And then I got Paul Hodgert, a friend of the podcast, and Paul has hosted a couple of times the podcast and done tons of covers. Paul played second, and then I got interviewed on stage in front of a modest but fabulous audience in Winnipeg. by Sam Thompson, who hosts Witch Police Radio. So we had a really good time. I saw Todd Kowalski for a little while up in Winnipeg and had some fantastic Palestinian food at a restaurant in St. James in Winnipeg. Went for a lot of long walks, saw where they filmed the No Longer Young music video on those bike paths around the river there in Winnipeg. I did a little bit of propaganda sightseeing, got a bunch of books sold, and got a book to John Sampson. So John Sampson now has a copy of the book, and had a really good time. So it was a nice little trip to go up to Winnipeg, and I was on TV, so that was pretty fun too.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Because you speak so highly of it. Say one bad thing about Winnipeg.
The road surfaces are atrocious. Like
I think
driving
that's just Canadian roads, though. All Canadian roads are bad.
driving around in Winnipeg is like driving around on roads that have been shelled in a war, basically. So the roads are really rough. And I know there's a lot of poverty and small scale crime in the town and stuff like that. And when I was talking to a couple of people and I was telling them where I was going, they were like, walk on this road instead of that road. So I had to modify my routes for walking around a little bit so that I didn't go into some areas where I could have been a target for something unpleasant, which is nice because I don't know what I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot I don't know about Winnipeg, and but the infrastructure is quite bad.
Interesting. Speaking of the roads in Winnipeg, what do you think they would be like for cycling? Terrible,
Not
right?
fun. Yeah, not fun. But I did meet JP Peters as well. John Paul Peters from Private Ear Recording came to the show, and we got to meet. And JP's been on the podcast a bunch of times because he's recorded Propaganda since 2012. So it was really nice to meet him in person. And he is a cyclist. So if I were ever to be able to ride in Winnipeg, I would have a good guide for where to go and where not to go as far as good road surfaces go.
Well, that's great. Have you done any cycling lately? Or
I have
are you
not.
past your cutoff for the year?
I'm an indoor cyclist at the moment on the stationary bike, and I've been running outdoors a lot. So I'm still getting a lot of exercise, but yeah, I have not been riding outdoors, and I'm actually going to switch my tires this off season to run from tubes to tubeless tires. So I'm going to transfer the style of tire that I'm running on my road bike before next season.
Interesting.
Yep. So
I've got
I'm gonna be moving into the future because tubeless is the way people go now, and it's just easier for flat prevention and stuff like that. So I'm switching over.
Interesting. I've got a it's kind of cold, wet, and chilly today, but I am planning on riding my bike today. I have to bring in the car for annual tire swap to winter tires, oil change, and engine service.
Mhm.
So I'm driving the car with my bike on the back of it to the garage. I go
Yeah.
to take it to a garage in Burlington, and I'm going to bike home.
Yeah, that's the way, man. That's absolutely the way. I
It's going
love
to be
taking.
freezing and wet,
Yeah,
but it's only
you'll make it.
22 kilometers, so
You
that's
got it.
nothing.
That's nothing. 15
And
miles or so, you're good to go.
and then tomorrow I will bike to go pick it up, and then I will remove the hitch from the car because that's probably my last time I'm going to be transporting the bike to ride this for the winter.
Yeah, and then put your rack away
Yeah,
so that it doesn't like get a bunch of salt from the plows and road clearing and stuff like
exactly.
that all over it all winter. And then you'll have a nice clean hitch rack whenever you get home. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, I'm fired up about it. It'll be good.
All
Uh,
right.
have you had anything else go on lately?
I mean,
Just busy.
just kids, man, kids and work and Airbnb stuff, and just been cooking food, watching football, tons of chores around the house, hanging out with my kitty cats. Yeah, just so hectic, so hectic. But it's all good, all
Oh,
good
that's good.
stuff. Yeah,
That's
no
good.
complaints. Um, All right, cool.
Let's talk more about Dayglo Abortions.
Oh God. Okay. So